I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that that commander had made, which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradwell made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat, eliminate the threat.
Yes, sink the boat, eliminate the threat. Hegseth wasn't in the room, but hey, it's just news reporting. What harm could it possibly do? I don't want to work. I want to bang on the drum all day. A very happy hump day to you, a very happy Wednesday to you. Except, of course, for those of you in the Bill and Hillary Clinton household. It's not mailbag day there, is it? No, it's not. It's hump day there. Hillary Clinton faced down in a pool of her own dried vomit once again every Wednesday. It's a tradition. Here on the Chris Plant Show, mailbag day, and I have the mail. I know I have them in front of me right here. There they are now. They're right here. I have them in arm's reach. Our mailbag questions for Mailbag Day, Mailbag Wednesday. Now, I've got to tell you, the Secretary of War, previously holding the position of Secretary of Defense, and then before that, it was the Secretary of War. See, it goes back and forth. It's the great pendulum of life in Washington, D.C. But Pete Hegseth with the president yesterday at the White House. Say, listen, I watched the first strike live. I watched that. But I've got a lot to do. I've got a full-time job. I'm the Secretary of War. I didn't stick around for 2 hours. I learned that the commander on the scene made the decision to drop a second device, an explosive device, on the drug trafficking boat. And the Democrats claim, based on, I think, a Washington Post article, which was based on leaks by anonymous sources who said, and there were two innocent fishermen clinging to the wreckage of the drug-smuggling Go-Fast boat, and they were killed. And now the Democrats are saying, it's murder. You murdered everybody. I can't believe you. You committed a war crime. And the Democrat Party, they're really something. Again, Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen, the Democrat of Maryland, who famously flew down to, where did he go? El Salvador, to hang out with the MS-13 people, the guy who was, beat his wife when she was pregnant, the baby mama and all that. And I went down to hang out with him and have a, what did they have, a margarita? Was it a Slurpee of some kind? What was that? So Chris Van Hollen, the Democrat senator, he said in a tweet, he said, Secretary talk show host, he's Secretary talk show host, yeah, I see. So that's dismissive. Secretary talk show host may have been experiencing the fog of war, but that doesn't change the fact that this was an extrajudicial killing amounting to murder or a war crime. He must resign. That's what Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen said. It's an extrajudicial killing. It's a murder or a war crime. You choose, right? Isn't that amazing? So that was Pete Hegseth. We played the opening audio for you. He watched the first strike live, and then he got on with his job because he's a busy guy. He learned later that the commander in charge of the operation made the decision to strike the boat a second time because the boat was not successfully sunk, which is the purpose of the mission, to sink the drug boats laden with drugs headed for the United States. And I guess on CNN they're having a big debate. Well, some of these drugs might have been headed for Europe. And I guess that means we should let them go. We should let them go because they'll just kill people in Europe with fatal drug overdoses. And then Dana Bash said, maybe it was just cocaine. And she fell short of saying, I like cocaine. I do a lot of cocaine at parties on weekends. My ex-husband worked in the Obama administration. Let's go. So that was soundbite number 5. Let's go to the White House yesterday. Pete Hegseth, the president, is there. Pete Hegseth said he learned later on that the commander made a decision to strike the boat a second time. Again, the goal is to sink the drugs. They don't hate boats. They don't hate the people in the boats. They're trying to stop the drugs. See how that goes. And the people, they're the drug traffickers who are getting tens of thousands of Americans killed every year by fatal drug overdoses. The Democrat Party wants more of that. You know that by way of their policies. Then a news reporter there heard Pete Hegseth say, listen, and the Washington Post reported Pete Hegseth personally made the decision, kill them all. He's like Stonewall Jackson over here. Kill them. And Hegseth said, I wasn't in the room. I didn't make the decision. Didn't happen. Your reporting is BS or HS, depending on which animal you prefer. But there's a reporter there to ask a follow-up question.
You didn't see any survivors, to be clear, after that first strike?
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes.
War crimes, murder, extrajudicial killing. That's just one Democrat senator, the guy who was hanging out with Kilmore Abrego Garcia, the pregnant baby mama beaten. Then he married her in prison through the bulletproof glass. Wife beaten, because then he beat her again afterward. And the Democrats love wife-beating gang members from El Salvador. Pete Hegseth then explained just a little bit further.
President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
And Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen, who loves Kilmore Abrego Garcia, the MS-13 member who beats his pregnant baby mama, and then a tearful, rueful senator from Maryland, Chris Van Hollen, flies down at taxpayer expense to El Salvador to go to a prison to hang out with and enjoy a nice frosty beverage with Kilmore Abrego Garcia. Isn't it wonderful? Senator Chris Van Hollen, also, he wants people hanged for this.
Do you think there was a war crime committed?
Oh, I think it's very possible there was a war crime committed. Of course, for it to be a war crime, you have to accept the Trump administration's whole construct here.
That we're at war.
Which is we're in armed conflict at war with the drug gangs. Of course, they've never presented the public with the information they've got here. But it could be worse than that, right? If that theory is wrong, then it's plain murder.
The first strike is murder in that case.
That's correct.
You're alleging.
That's correct.
That's correct. John Curl, ABC, this week without David Brinkley. Now they've declared the drug trafficking cartels to be terrorist organizations because they're responsible for killing tens of thousands of Americans with fatal drug overdoses by way of their fatal trade, their lethal trade, that is trafficking in narcotics. And they lead to literally hundreds of thousands of deaths over the years. In a single year, we've had more than 100,000 fatal drug overdoses during the Joe Biden administration. And 80,000 last year, I think, fatal drug overdoses in the United States. And there's Senator Chris Van Hollen. He said, well, we can't call it a war crime because we're not at war. So we have to, is that really what he said? That's actually what he said at the beginning of that soundbite. That's pretty amazing stuff because why would, so it's not, you're saying it's not a war crime because we're not at war, but otherwise it would be a war crime?
Do you think there was a war crime committed?
John Curl.
Oh, I think it's very possible there was a war crime committed. Of course, for it to be a war crime, you have to accept the Trump administration's whole construct here.
That we're at war.
Which is we're in armed conflict at war with the drug gangs.
Well, that's sure. You got to say you mean of the President of the United States, of the United States government, with which you disagree. They're the party of civil war. They're the party of, honestly, they're just not on our side. Senator Chris Van Hollen is nothing but a Democrat.
Even if you accept their legal theory, that it is a war crime. And so I do believe that the Secretary of Defense should be held accountable for giving those kind of orders.
Ah, yes. And keeping in mind, I quoted you from his tweet just a little earlier, where he accused the Secretary of War, the Secretary of Defense, of an extrajudicial killing amounting to murder or a war crime. Those are his words. He must resign. His words, the Democrat senator from Maryland that loves MS-13 and Kilmore Abrego Garcia, these guys are not the good guys. Boy, are they not the good guys at all. And we've got them out there saying this out loud. And it's a worker. They would lynch the U.S. military. They would lynch cabinet secretaries. Trump derangement syndrome is very real. And I got to tell you, I want to flood Chris Van Hollen's neighborhood with fentanyl and cocaine, and just say, all right, listen, we've got a carve out for you. You've been exempted, and not your entire congressional district in Maryland. I can drive a golf ball. His district is right there, isn't it? His Chevy Chase and all the rich people in the $6 million houses, right? And let's flood the zone with fentanyl and see what he thinks about it. Just remarkable stuff. These guys. Mm-mm-mm. Yes, sir. And he is on with, Van Hollen wasn't on with ABC and John Carl, but the remarkable stuff. Yes, they are. Here's a great story that's very important and everyone should know. Astonishing 2/3 of Americans say 4-year college degree isn't worth it. 2/3 of Americans say a 4-year college degree isn't worth it. I would be in that 2/3. I would agree. Dramatic shift from past polls, which showed Americans were more evenly divided on the issue. We used to be about half and half, college degree worth it or not worth it. Now nearly 2/3 of Americans say that a 4-year college degree is not worth the cost, according to a startling new poll. Some 63% of Americans surveyed for an NBC News poll last month, they buried their own findings in their reporting, agreed that a college degree is, quote, not worth the cost because people often graduate without specific job skills and with a large amount of debt to pay off. Just 33% agreed that a 4-year degree, quote, is worth the cost because people have a better chance to get a good job and earn more money over their lifetime. Only 33%, that's 1/3. The remaining 4% said, huh? Honestly, the remaining 4% said they weren't sure each way. That's the element in any poll. The outlet surveyed 1,000 registered voters between October 24th and October 28th. Now, that's remarkable news. 2/3 of us now believe a 4-year college degree is not worth it. I do not possess a 4-year college degree. I do not possess a 2-year college degree. I don't possess a legitimate high school diploma. Anything I know, I learned the hard way. Yeah, that's all true. I don't brag about it much, but every now and then it comes up. That's right. I went to Santa Barbara City College in Santa Barbara, California for a while, but I was busy and I lost interest and then I moved on. But that's not important now. This Christmas, it's coming, as we celebrate life, and a particular life that's very important to our Christmas holiday. You have an opportunity to share that same gift with a mother in need and her helpless little baby. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy and unsure what to do. She's searching for hope, and that's where preborn ministries come in. You know, there's a story of a young woman who's unmarried, and she found out about her pregnancy, and when the angel Gabriel announced that she would conceive by the Holy Spirit, it was a shocking moment, as you might imagine. The Virgin Mary, every mother preborn serves, and they serve a lot of women. They face a moment of decision when she sees her baby on an ultrasound provided by preborn for free. In that moment, she has the opportunity to say yes. Preborn's mission is to help her find the courage and support to do the right thing. This Christmas, for just $28, you can help save a human life, a helpless little life. And thanks to a special matching grant through the end of the year now, your gift will be doubled. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250, pound 250. When prompted, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250, the keyword is baby. Or you can go online to preborn.com/plant. That's preborn.com/plant. Thank you so very much. You go back, Jack, you do it again. Yeah, so that's a great one. And what do college students think about the American news media? I've got new numbers for you on that, too. All right, let us go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Ricky, calling from Baltimore, Maryland. Ricardo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Hey, Chris, good morning. Thank you for taking call.
You bet.
So, since you brought up a college word and I was listening, so my question is, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar from Minnesota, Somalian refugee who came here as a refugee and became a congresswoman and coming out of a third world hellhole, have nothing, and now she worth $30 million. I'm trying to figure out how these people get that money. Who she think this is a bad country and it's a racist country, and she worth $30 million coming out of hellhole. She still owes $50,000 college loan debt. Up to today, it still owes that.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out the woman who makes $185,000 every year for the last 8 years and worth $30 million, how she cannot pay that, and she asking Department of Education to forgive her loan. On top of that, she was married to her brother to bring him here. That's immigration fraud. I'm an immigrant. You cannot do that. That's a fraud. If I would have done that, I would have gone to jail.
Right.
On top of that, her husband, who's a Muslim, so she is supposed to be, owns a winery. That's an alcohol business. They're not supposed to be in it. So I'm trying to figure out how these people do all these things and still get rich and still complain that this is a bad country.
Well, they're not on our side, from what I can tell. They don't like us. They don't like capitalism. They're not with us. She is. Now, she claims that she's not worth millions of dollars. She does owe student debt all these years later, though. And she is, the short version is she's not on our side. She's not a truth teller. Here's a fun headline from the left-wing radicals at Mediaite. Trump says every single contract and pardon Biden signed via auto pen is void. Void, I tell you. That means it's no good. It's not worth the paper it's written on. And it's hilarious that President Trump and in the wall of presidents along the wall of the east wing of the west wing of the White House, along the Rose Garden, with all the pictures of former presidents' faces, and then for Joe Biden, it's a picture of his signature signed by auto pen, and the president has been walking foreign leaders along there to visit, MBS, Mohammed bin Salman from Saudi Arabia, and so on. But here's the left-wingers at Media. President Donald Trump declared on Tuesday that anything signed by former President Joe Biden via auto pen is, quote, hereby null, void, and no further in force or effect. Right, okay. So we got that, end quote. In a Truth Social post, Trump once again raged against the auto pen use to Biden, to sign executive orders. And that's poor grammar by the people at Mediaite, not surprising. Any and all Democrats, proclamations, executive orders, memorandums, or contracts signed by order of the now infamous and unauthorized auto pen within the administration of Joseph R. Biden Jr. are hereby null, void, and of no further force or effect. Trump included in his post anyone who received a pardon from Biden, which would include his son, Hunter Biden. No longer, certainly you'd think that he'd want to sign that himself, wouldn't you? You just have some underling do that with the auto pen. Anyone receiving pardons, commutations, or any other legal document so signed, please be advised that said document has been fully and completely terminated and is of no legal effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He likes finishing his memos that way, particularly on Truth Social. He owns Truth Social because he created Truth Social because the fascists in the Democrat Party banned him from Twitter and other social media platforms because their nature is fascist. That's the terrible thing about them. The pardons that Sleepy Joe gave to the unselect committee of political thugs and many others are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect because of the fact that they were done by auto pen. In other words, Joe Biden did not sign them, but more importantly, he did not know anything about them, President Trump wrote. The president also opened an investigation in June over Biden's use of the auto pen. And I've got to say, that's pretty good stuff. Now, this morning, the headline is, Trump doubles down on auto pen voting, voiding Biden's auto pen actions, including pardons. And that's one of the many headlines. But wait a minute, I can't just have a staffer use the auto pen with my signature, even if I'm unaware of it, to do whatever the Democrats want. These abuses of power have become so commonplace that the Washington news media yawns and they walk right past it. Axios left-wingers, they write, what to know about Trump's claim that Biden's auto pen signed docs are no longer in effect. What to know about Trump's claims that he can undo Biden's auto pen measures. And now they want to pick nits and debate whether the President of the United States has the power to void previous presidents' pardons and commutations of sentences if you discover that the president didn't actually pardon those people. A staffer using the auto pen pardoned those people. Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. So what happens to Hunter Biden? That's kind of a big deal, isn't it? The Guardian left-wingers in the United Kingdom. Trump claims to void all documents signed by Biden, citing auto pen use. Sure, well, that naturally is going to be something that you'd take a look at, since the president has the authority, but his random staffers do not have that authority. Citing auto pen use, and that the Democrats, they yawn. They don't care if it's legal. They really don't care. Newsweek magazine, Donald Trump says all pardons, commutations signed by Biden auto pen terminated. Terminated. They put the word terminated in quotation marks in the headline. President Donald Trump on Tuesday said that all pardons, commutations, and other official documents signed by an auto pen during Joe Biden's presidency are terminated, issuing a sweeping proclamation that would upend years of routine executive practice. Newsweek magazine here. Jumping in to defend the Democrats with the last drop of blood in their veins. Just amazing. So what happens there? Gosh, who can say? So we've got that going for us. That's pretty good stuff. Yes, sir. And I shared with you the poll that majority of people don't believe that college is worth the money anymore, that it doesn't make your life better, doesn't make your career better, doesn't mean you're going to earn more money. And then you spend 25 years paying off student debt. I took the shortcut there myself. But almost two-thirds of Americans, 63%, say four-year college degree isn't worth it. That's kind of a big deal. It really is. And the tide is turning on that front. And now that the militants that run our colleges and universities will not respond to that at all because they don't care. Now, here's another poll that got my attention before I get back to the main big topics of the day and your calls, of course. And gosh, I also have to get to the mailbag because it's mailbag day. Here's the headline from the Associated Press. A lost generation of news consumers? ? That's the headline. Survey shows how teenagers dislike the news media. What is this? Teenagers dislike the news media? That's they're getting off to a good start then, I've got to say, because they might be ahead of previous generations in distrusting the news media. Man, the Associated Press has the story out of New York, New York. They begin, Kat Murphy, a college student, has wanted to be a journalist since she was 11. That's terrible. Many of her friends don't understand why. That's good. When they engage with the news, if they do, they hear a cacophony of voices. They don't know who to believe. Reporters are biased. They make mistakes. Besides, why would you hitch your future to a dying industry? There's a lot of commentary. Oh, good for you. Look what you're walking into. You're going to be screaming into the void. You're going to be useless, said Murphy, the 21-year-old graduate student at the University of Maryland's Journalism School. She is undeterred. And so, that's why she's not surprised by the findings of a study that documented negative attitudes toward the news media among, listen to this now, 13-year-olds to 18-year-olds in the United States of America, 13 to 18 years old. The press rarely fares well when surveyed among adults, but it's sobering to see the same disdain among people whose opinions about the world are still forming. Now, and this is kind of amazing. 84% of the people in the survey, and we're talking 13-year-olds to 18-year-olds, 84%, not 34%, 84% responded, tell me something about the news media. And it was 84% was something negative. They used words like crazy, words like boring, the word fake. That could be fake news, President Trump's influence, and depressing. Isn't that kind of amazing? So they also used the word biased and nothing positive. Asked by the News Literacy Project for one word to describe the news media, 84% of teens aged 13 to 18 responded with something negative. Wow. Biased, crazy, boring, fake, bad, depressing, confusing, scary. About half of all the teens surveyed believe that journalists give advertisers special treatment, make up details such as quotes. They make up quotes, right? 13 to 18-year-olds. Or pay or do favors for sources. Always or almost always, as often, they're doing favors for sources. About 6 in 10 say journalists regularly take photos and videos out of context. About 1/3 or less believe that reporters correct errors when they happen. Sure, 1/3 or less believe that reporters confirm facts before reporting them, gather information from multiple sources before reporting their information, or cover stories to help protect the public interests at least as often. Practices ingrained in the DNA of reputable journalists. Yeah, but that's the problem. We're in short supply when it comes to that. So this is pretty amazing that 13-year-old to 18-year-old Americans hold the American news media in contempt, in outright contempt. Don't believe a thing they say. Don't believe them. That's good. That's positive. All right, Michael, let's take a phone call. I'm going to get to the, right after the top of the hour, I got to get to the mailbag, Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Carlo, calling from Arlington, Virginia. Carlo, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Great show today, my friend. You're talking about the auto pen.
Yes.
That's a sore spot with me. The only pardon that President Biden actually signed himself was the one to his son Hunter, and the pardon goes back 11 years. Why is that? You think Daddy knows something about Hunter we don't know?
Well, if you listen to this radio show, you probably know it too. But the editorial board at the New York Times doesn't know it because they don't listen to this channel. They don't listen to media like this. But you're right, and we did hear at the time, didn't we, Carlo, that the one signature that was made public that looked like it was not the auto pen was the one that was signed to pardon Hunter. And 11 years was peculiar, wasn't it? Not 10 years, not 5 years, 11 years. Now, what is that? That's very curious, Carlo. What do you think is up with that 11th year?
Yeah, he knows something about Hunter we don't know, okay?
Yeah.
For sure. That's when I heard that, man, I tell you, the bells went off. Something is wrong here. Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And, the funny thing is, Carlo, that the same bells did not go off at the Washington Post or at CNN or at ABC News, where they pay George Stephanopoulos $25 million a year to do propaganda for the Democrat Party. And you're right that when the signature comparisons were held up to scrutiny, it was like, wow, this one, which one of these things looks out of place? And it was the Biden signature on the Hunter Biden pardon, and only on the Hunter Biden pardon. And then, again, you zeroed in on exactly the right things, Carla. And the second thing is 11 years. That's kind of peculiar, isn't it? Why would you?
Yeah, for sure.
So you think that something happened in that 11th year, 11 years back, that Joe Biden is aware of, or maybe that Hunter reminded him of, hey, that's when I got my $1 million a year no-show job with Burisma in Ukraine. Or that's when I got that great deal in the big diamond from the Chinese, from the Communist Party, when you said I wasn't taking any business meetings in China when he flew over on Air Force Two, but he did. Yeah. So what's the big picture here, Carlo?
Also, when he said he wasn't going to pardon his son about that the gun charge, that was ridiculous too. Because I wrote on Facebook the day he said that, I said he's going to pardon him. He's protecting his son. It's ridiculous. He knows what's going on.
Well, you should be the editor-in-chief of the New York Times.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I worked for the Washington Post for 39 years, although I worked in the mailroom.
Wow, no kidding. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
39 years.
You should have moved upstairs, obviously.
Yeah, well, knowing that they don't tell the truth, I think I'd probably better off staying in the mailroom.
Yeah, right, where you can you get out with your integrity intact.
There you go.
A wonderful thing. Carlo, God bless you.
Thank you. Great show, my brother. You take care.
Thank you, Carlo. Great call. Wonderful call. Yeah, that's right. And then they'll come back and they'll say, oh, no, this one he signed. Watch it happen in the next few days. It may even happen today. Now the president's making an issue of it. And somebody in the media, because they want to protect Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the Biden family, brought up, well, Hunter Biden, several headlines even. Hunter Biden's pardon is in there. And we'll learn now that he did sign that one himself, but didn't bother to sign any of the others. They're crooks. I think in the macro, it's that we live in a very corrupt city. I do, Washington, D.C., and that our government is very corrupt, and our news media is very corrupt. I've been saying for how many years now, 10 years, the most corrupt institution in America is the American news media. They shouldn't have to prove me right every day over and over again. Thanks, Carlo. Hey, whether you're sending an unforgettable gift or treating yourself to everyday perfection, Omaha Steaks, well, they deliver the world's best steak experience. And right now, during their cyber sale, you can get 50% off the entire website. And listen to this, an extra 20% off selected favorites at omahasteaks.com. Plus, because you and I hang out together, you get another $35 off because we are friends. Now, the Omaha Steaks Cyber Sale is the perfect time to shop for unforgettable gifts, family, coworkers, exclusive, limited time only deals, and more. Plus, Orders placed by 6 p.m. Eastern Time, shipped the same day. There's a gift of handcrafted, beautiful Omaha Steaks perfection. It's the kind of gift that brings people together, and you don't have to know anyone's size. You know, what's your shoe size, what's your shirt size. Everybody eats the same size steak. We cooked a filet in Omaha, filet mignon last night at home. You can save big right now in unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off the entire website, another 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale, and for that extra $35 off, use the promo code PLANT when you get to checkout. That's omahasteaks.com. The promo code is PLANT at checkout. Terms apply. See the website for details. Yes, sir. All right, we've still got a great deal coming up, and your calls, and it's Mailbag Day. Mailbag Day. All right, let's jump back to the telephone. So much to get to, and also the mailbag coming up after the top of the hour. Let's go to Jacob, calling from the great state of Arkansas. Jacob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Yes, sir. How are you, Chris?
I'm great, Jacob. What do you know? What do you say?
Man, I had a little story for you about the what you said earlier about teenagers distrusting the media.
Yes.
Well, so I'm 48, and I sit up at McDonald's on the weekends and drink coffee with two older gentlemen in their 70s, and we talk politics and so forth. And one day, this group of teenagers came in. They had to be between 14 to 17 at the oldest. And they sat down a few tables away from us, and for whatever reason, one of my friends said, hey, I wonder if we ought to ask them what they think the biggest problem in America is. We thought we'd just see what they said. And would you believe they said the media?
Wow. I love that you asked the question of the young guys sitting there. Was it males or males and females?
No, just a group of young guys. And we was very impressed with their answer. We told them we was very impressed, and I just thought that little poll or study that you referenced earlier that's all very good. That's good news that these young people are awake with they're paying attention. And I mean, and they said it quick, Chris. They didn't, they said the media. Yeah. That's the problem.
Wow, I'm nodding in agreement. I'm slack-jawed. What a great story.